So today we're at the Washoe County District Attorney's Office to file some complaints. We'll see if they'll accept some complaints. See how they do with the camera dealing with us. What I'm here to do is following up on what originally got me upset enough to risk my life auditing and confronting government. But it was Director Julie Butler at the Nevada DMV and her patriots, as they're called in their emails, that started changing the laws on my business and the rules and how they processed things. And it's ended up costing industry a lot of money. And when I spoke out at a meeting, it was pretty soon after that they sent a man with a gun and a badge. Well, I posted that video. That was the very first one I posted. So that's what this is about here. So I'm going to go file some complaints.
Investigator.
Hi there. I would like to file a complaint, or several complaints really. Who would I talk to?
Complaints about...
Violations of my constitutional rights.
Okay, let's...
So that you're right.
Are you a defendant or a victim?
A victim.
A victim on the case? Okay, let's pull up your case
Well,
number.
we haven't started a case yet. I need to initiate the complaint process.
So you would start by filing a police report.
Okay, I tried to do that with the Washoe County Sheriffs and they told me no. So that's why I've come to you guys to see if you guys will actually investigate.
So we don't take complaints or reports here. It starts at the police.
Right. And what I'm telling you is I read the Reno Police Department complaint process, and I'm telling you I've tried to file a complaint with the Sheriff's Office. They denied me. They said they won't investigate the Director of DMV.
Okay, so I'm going to...
So how do I get some justice?
It's going to be to the police department. You have to start there. I'll get an investigator.
Right, but I tried that and they denied me. So since they denied me, I'm coming to you guys now. Hi there. How are you?
John Berry.
John, my name is Drew Rebar.
Drew?
Drew, yes.
Okay, what can we do for this? Is Terry Salter, one of our investigators?
Hi, Terry. I
for you?
would like to file a few complaints. I tried to call the Sheriff's Office. They wouldn't accept it.
What are the complaints for?
Let me go over them for you. We'll call this one cause because it's affected the other ones. So this is a complaint against Julie Butler, the Director of DMV, Chief J.D. Decker, the Chief of Enforcement, and David Gravel, Supervising Investigator at the Nevada Transportation Authority. And long and short, Julie Decker has changed regulations without any due process. When I confronted her on that in the meeting, soon thereafter, Supervising Investigator David Gravel came to my office and seized my papers. I asked him where the complaint was. There's a complaint required under 706. There was no complaint. And then I asked him what his reasonable suspicion was for seizing my papers. And he didn't have any. So I've done an information request to both DMV. It's been about 90 days since this has happened. Part of the information request was to provide the reasonable suspicion. There was none. So he violated my Fourth Amendment constitutional rights, along with due process and some other things. So that has bothered me. And since they were trying to intimidate me, there's a video of it you can watch of him trying to interrogate me. That's all on YouTube. And basically this is what decided to get me up from behind my desk running my business to go and do First Amendment audits. And those are the rest of the complaints that are going to start coming.
So you want to file a complaint against Nevada?
The Director of Nevada DMV, the Chief of Enforcement Nevada DMV, and the Nevada Transportation Authority Supervising Investigator David Gravel.
Okay.
And if more people come to light in the investigation, there probably is more people that would come to light in that investigation, based on all the emails that I see. I've got a 128 gig stick full of information from DMV. I gave you a little bit, just a taste.
And you have to forgive me. I don't know anything about your story, your history, your
My history is my business is A&A Towing.
Is A&E Towing?
A&A Towing, so I'm a towing company.
Okay.
And basically what Director Butler and her staff have been doing for the last couple of years, it looks like almost now, since I think it was AB 104 came out, The towing industry lobby to not be included in that bill. And if I'm misquoting the bill, pardon me. But basically what it did is it changed the lien process for some businesses in the state of Nevada.
Okay.
So what she basically did is she's implemented that on the towing industry without telling us that.
Okay.
And if you look at the dates of when things happened, you'll see how obvious that was. And not just me, there's statewide. There was a statewide meeting with Director Butler, the wrecking yards, the towing industry. We had a Zoom conference with a man named Paul Enos. I don't know if you know who he is. He's the head of the Nevada Trucking Association, and he instigated this meeting, or had this meeting to help us resolve the issues. And during that meeting, I believe it was Chief Decker. Chief Decker stated on the record that they know they're enforcing vague laws. And I said, well, vague laws? Those are unconstitutional. And then once I did that, it was shortly thereafter that they sent David Gravel into my office to seize papers, try to intimidate me, call me into his office, and make accusations about things that I had done illegally. And I told him very clearly, if you go listen to the video, write me a citation if I've done something. I'm not going to implicate myself. That's not how the system works. You prove your case, just like I'm going to prove this case. You don't get to do that. You don't get to intimidate small business people that are employing people in the community because you want to change laws because for some reason you think that's your prerogative.
Okay.
So that led me to start doing First Amendment auditing, and that leads to my second complaint. NHP is already investigating their officers, but Reno PD officers came out to, I went and did an audit down at Welfare. That's on video. I'm brand new doing this. It's got over 50,000 hits is how bad it was. I was forced from the building in a public space. You'll notice I'm very polite.
You're very polite.
I try to be very
As long as you don't
soft-spoken.
disrupt business in our office.
Oh, I don't ever disrupt business. I
That's our
stand
issue.
back quietly.
Okay.
I'm very well of the law.
Okay. Good.
I run a business that has a lot of regulations. I like laws. So I was ordered to leave the building under a threat of violent force and arrest, and so I opted to leave the building at that time. Reno PD showed up. They did not tell the trooper, hey, you can't do this. You have to let the man have access to the public building, especially if he's doing a constitutionally protected activity. And actually I was going to do two protected activities. I was also going to do a public records request under NRS 239, and Reno PD specifically denied me that access. So they violated my constitutional rights there twice under the First Amendment.
Okay.
So those are my complaints. So are you guys willing to investigate Nevada DMV?
Okay. So I'm gonna, just like you said, you love laws.
I do love laws.
Okay. When it comes to laws, there's a process.
Yes.
Okay. And you need to have the right forum or the right process. This office does not take complaints in terms of taking action, investigating complaints. The process for the district attorney's office is crime occurs out there. The investigating agencies investigate those crimes. They make arrests. They don't make arrests. They submit those cases to our office for prosecution.
Okay.
At that point, we take the case, and the district attorneys decide if they're going to charge the case or not based on probable cause.
Right.
Right. If they feel that they can prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt at trial, and that's where investigators come into the case.
Exactly.
Criminally. Okay?
Yes.
That's the process here.
Right.
Okay. So we're not the entity. We're not the forum that we take complaints and we investigate.
Right. And the reason I'm here is because, like I said, I called the Washoe County Sheriff's Office.
I'm trying to recommend
And Washoe County Sheriff told me they will not investigate the state.
Okay, well, and I'm racking my brain trying to think about what's the best form. Where's the best place for you to go to take this? And I don't know at this point.
That's a problem, isn't it?
Well, it's not really a problem because
It's a problem if you got government officials violating the Constitution.
that's
And the citizenry can't protect their rights because there is no process within government to investigate the state.
now the state does have an office of professional responsibility.
Right.
It looks like you filed these papers online.
No, I printed them so I could do this in person because I don't trust the process online either because, like I said, I've been told we're not willing to investigate the state, and that set off more
Well, forgive me.
flares with me.
So, this is regarding state officials.
Yes.
This is regarding the DMV.
Yes.
The Department of Public Safety does have an Office of Professional Responsibility.
And I talked to her yesterday, I forget the gal's name, that's investigating the trooper's complaint that I did file. She did take the trooper's complaint, but she would not take this complaint.
Okay. Did she say how you can? I mean, there's a.
She goes, we got to look it up and figure it up. I don't know what to do with it. So that's what I've been told. I've been told by government that they don't know how to do this and investigate a director of a state agency and her chief of enforcement and an enforcement officer from another state agency. So there's a problem.
Okay. Well, it has an OPR tracking form, which means Office of Professional Responsibility. It seems like that's where you got this complaint.
Well, where I got this is I just printed this off of their website and filled in the blanks.
Sure.
So whatever this number is, that's nothing that I generated or nothing that anybody else. I don't know where that number came from. That's not.
And there's
my
no
generation.
number, but it does say OPR, which means Office of Professional Responsibility, which is the right venue for you to make a complaint. So, is there a way to submit this online for a complaint?
Oh, I'm sure there's probably a way to submit it online too, but if I submit it online, my perception is when I call the sheriff and they tell me they can't investigate it, I come here, I'm hearing we can't investigate it. I'm hearing if I just put it online, how do I know that a real live person,
Well,
we can't do anything with it, they just shit can it and don't tell you about it.
Well, it's like any process, and we don't work for the Nevada Department of Public Safety.
Right,
Which
you're
is who your
Washoe
beef-
County.
Which is who your beef is with, correct? With state officials.
Right.
Correct, okay. So, it seems like this is the appropriate venue. It's like anything, like if you file an online report with Washoe County Sheriff's Office or Reno Police Department, you file an online report, it's going to kick you back a case number, right? That you can track your case and the progress of your case. So, I understand your mistrust of submitting this online, but that might be your best avenue to start. And if they say that they can't,
Submitting it online, I mean, I've got a lot of documentation too. And like I said, there's a 128 gig stick with stuff.
okay.
And how do I get all that online to them? Because
I don't work for them, so
I understand that. I'm just rhetorical questions more than anything. If the system's not working thus far in person, why would I expect it to work better without a person in front of me and just a computer?
totally get it. But I can't answer their process.
I understand that. I'm just trying to. What I'm doing is I'm doing the steps, and I called the sheriff's office because he's the elected official in the county. His office told me no. The next elected official in the county is this office, so I'm trying this. I've already tried DPS. That doesn't work with the state. So the only venue after that is probably the Attorney General's office for the state and the FBI, and we all know that the FBI.
Well, the FBI might not have.
Well, under Sessions, they stopped investigating these.
Well, you're talking about a different venue and different jurisdiction.
I'm just trying to ramp. I'm trying to.
Attorney General may. They might have shed more light because they do represent the Department of Public Safety.
Yeah.
So that might be a good way to go.
They're representing him and protecting him, and at the same time investigate. Just. Their job is to protect them, and their job is to persecute them. At 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 to me.
I understand. I'm not a lawyer and I can't give you legal advice.
I'm not asking for any. I just want a direction to go. I want my complaint filed and investigated, and I want to see where that turns out, and then I can take the next steps in the process if I don't get justice that way.
Okay. Unfortunately, we can't take your complaint. We've never taken a complaint in my 19 years of being here regarding a DPS issue with the DMV. So, in my experience, which is not a professional legal opinion, you're talking about violations of your civil rights.
Yes.
Which is more of a lawsuit forum than a criminal complaint or complaint matter that is an option for you to retain an attorney.
NRS 197-200 is oppression of civil rights under the color of law, under state law. So there is a state law, and if you use there's 2 different levels. There's a misdemeanor level and a felony level in the statute, if I recall. One involves violence and the other one doesn't have any violence. So this would be a misdemeanor under that statute on state law.
And if you were to find an agency that would investigate that claim and make an arrest on that, and they submit it to our office, that will investigate it and prosecute it.
And see, that's the problem. Nobody will investigate it. So therefore, the law doesn't really mean
And we
anything.
can't tell agencies what to do either,
I
because we have to be unbiased in that respect.
I understand what you're saying, but from a citizen's perspective, where the Constitution is supposed to be supremacy, but when those rights are violated, nothing happens. But yet, if I miss a date on one of the forms I'm supposed to turn in for my business, I get huge fines. So we have a misdemeanor, or not even that, a violation of an administrative code that results in immediate punishment. But when we have a constitutional violation, there's seemingly no way to get any justice in the state of Nevada.
I don't know what to tell you.
I appreciate, I really appreciate your information.
The thing is, to me, is that you have this very detailed complaint, and I am not saying that these complaints that you have listed in here and these allegations didn't happen. I wasn't there. I don't know.
I've got video.
Yeah, I believe you. But the issue is that you need to find the right forum. And I can't speak for other agencies. I just know that this office is.
Like I said, I understand what you're telling me, and I'm not gonna stop. Can you investigate Reno PD? So I need to go to where to do that?
Well, you can go to the FBI if you want to go to them to investigate a different law enforcement agency. But
So Reno PD can't get investigated.
they also have their own internal affairs division and office of professional responsibility.
You realize, well, I've looked at that, and I'll go back to Reno PD with this portion, but what they say on their website is, if you don't get any results from this and this and this, then come to you guys, and then after that do the FBI. So they give you a stair step in their instructions, and it appears that their instructions aren't correct.
So you did ask Reno Police
Well,
Department?
no, I haven't asked Reno PD on their officers yet.
Okay.
I thought it might be easier just to do them all at once, so that's just one individual complaint. But like I said, the real cause of what got me off my butt to go and exercise our constitutional rights was the director of DMV
Okay.
seizing my papers, sending a man with a gun to intimidate me.
And that was the Reno PD.
No, that was
That was
the
the
Nevada
DMV.
Transportation Authority,
Okay.
because he's got authority over me by statute under 706. And under 706, they can, well, just like you can ID me if I'm driving a car, take my license and look at it, you've got to have a lower standard to engage with me as law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
So since I've got a business license, the law says the government can come and take my records without a warrant. But if you don't even have a reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime when you're doing that, you probably better stop. Because otherwise you're just doing it to intimidate me, especially when you see the video.
Okay.
And especially when you threaten to come and take more records on the video, because I won't cooperate with your questions. So there's multiple violations of Constitution in what he did there. And my goal is not to go hire an attorney and do this. My goal is to try to solve the problem throughout the system. But what I'm discovering throughout the system is there is no system to solve the problem.
Well, sometimes that's why you need an attorney.
Well, I've got those. I've done that before. I'm trying to go through it without an attorney. How would a guy off the street that doesn't have a business and have cash flow and have access to things that I can get, how does a normal guy solve his problems?
Well, they file a complaint.
But you're saying get an attorney, and what I'm telling you, when I've sued the state of Nevada before, I spent a lot of money, and most people can't spend that much money. And most attorneys don't want to take these cases because there's a lot of paperwork involved in civil rights cases. They're complicated.
But it's difficult. There's a lot of back and forth of you want government to fix itself, but you don't trust government, but you want government to fix it, but you don't trust government enough to submit this to the government agency. So it's a constant kind of circle thing. The best advice I can give you is to submit it, get a case number, and track it that way, and then find out what the status of the case is. And if they dismiss it, if they say they're not going to look into it, then you have more cause
Right.
to go forward. But if you don't submit this to the agency that you're having allegations against, and you're going to other agencies and saying, do this for me, and they're like, no, we don't investigate that.
Well, just so you know, I've told Director Butler very blatantly in a complaint that she's violated my constitutional rights. I've talked to Patricia Erickson, I believe she's the state's attorney for the Nevada Transportation Authority, and she's just telling me they've got the right to do this, although the public information request came back saying that there was no reasonable suspicion. So they've lowered the standard that the courts have set, and they're doing nothing internally. And so I have filed those complaints and done that process, and that's what made me reach out to the sheriff's office and said, hey, you're an outside agency. We elected Sheriff Balaam. Can you investigate this, because you're the supreme law enforcement officer in the county? I don't know, or is the attorney? I don't know. Between those two guys, they're the two guys that people put in power. So what I'm hearing is those two guys don't have a process to investigate the state. The state's refused so far at that level. So the next step is I will go down to the Carson City Attorney General's office for the state of Nevada and see if Aaron Ford's office will accept the complaint. I don't have a lot of hope. I mean, really what I'm trying to do is, if you don't do the complaint process and try to mitigate the issue initially, but you immediately go to the court's just going to kick you out. So I know that much, and so I'm just trying to make sure I do every single process, give the government every opportunity to fix the problem before I reach out to the third branch of government in the judicial system and ask them to help me fix the problem. So right now I'm reaching out to the executive branch of government, hoping that you guys will. But the executive branch doesn't seem to want to investigate the executive branch.
Well, I don't think it's fair to characterize like that. We told you what the process is of what this office does.
Right, but
in terms of criminal prosecutions, we don't not take initial cases into our office.
Right.
So I'm
like
sorry,
I said,
but forgive me. I think it's unfair to. I mean, I know you're filming and you're going to probably post this, but
I will. Yes, definitely.
It's not fair to make these characterizations when we told you what the process was.
Right,
okay?
right. And I appreciate you telling me, and I'm going to do more of the process, guaranteed.
Okay.
I'm not stopping.
I think the Attorney General will be a good stop for you. Okay? See what they say. A bunch of lawyers in that office. You want to file a complaint against the Nevada Department of Public Safety and see what they say.
So,
but it's. I mean, I understand. I sympathize with your situation. I'm sorry that you're getting the runaround, but.
Well, what this is all doing, I'll tell you my real purpose.
People are telling you no, and
I don't take no very well. I keep going,
and that's totally fine, and I respect that. But it's almost like you're trying to catch people in this "I gotcha" moment, and we're trying to help.
I understand, and you have to understand my perspective of why did I start going around with the camera everywhere. Well, like I said, this is the cause of this whole thing.
Okay.
Because government came at me, and I dealt with this David Gravel for the last 10 years, however long he's been there now, and he's done similar things to me before. And so when this started happening, I'm watching going, you know, I've done this game before in my life experience. And he calls me up to come down to his office to answer some questions for him, and I said, well, I'll come and listen to your questions. I was very specific. And I'm going, you know, I'm going to bring one of my guys with me with a camera. And thank God I did. So what that's really taught me is law enforcement, the job is to figure out a way to make up a crime and trap somebody off of a law that doesn't exist, to intimidate them so that they stop asking questions, so that the person in charge of government can keep doing whatever the hell they want to do, even though the law doesn't have any black and white as to what they're doing. And so you're saying that, and pardon me if I'm using the wrong words, it could be a little intimidating with the camera.
No, that's
or no, I don't want to twist your words or put anything in your mouth. So don't let me do that. But basically, government has lost the trust of a man that used to support law enforcement, used to do all these things, and I'm looking at it now going, it's just abusive. And they've abused me, and I don't want to be abused. And unfortunately, I'm a human being that's got some resources to fight back a little bit. I mean, government can hire thousands of men and women to come against me as a single individual. I'm just a single guy with a camera recording my actions and trying to deal with government and solve the problems that they've created for me. So that's where I'm coming from. So I don't want to intimidate anybody, but I don't want to put my camera down either because it saved my butt.
And that's fine. And no one's telling you to put your camera down.
No, I'm not. No, you did not do that. Not at all. I appreciate that.
You have a complaint against the Nevada Department of Public Safety, and you go in the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, you come in the Washoe County District Attorney's Office. Office of Professional Responsibility is right there. You said you have not filed this online because you don't trust it that it's going to be investigated, but you haven't filed it.
I talked to one of their investigators yesterday that's investigating the complaint against the troopers in the incident. And I told her, I have this other complaint. I've got cause and effect. And she goes, well, I can only do the one against the troopers. We only investigate DPS employees. We do not investigate other state agencies like DMV, NTA, or anybody else. We only do DPS.
Okay.
So she shot me down on that. So that's an avenue I have tried also. Okay. So like I said, I'm just kind of running out of avenues. I've started with the sheriff, came to you guys, did the agencies before anything. And next I'm going to go to the state attorney general's office and file a complaint there. And
have you tried the Nevada Division of Investigation?
NDI.
Yes.
With I think Major Stepian's over there now.
I don't know.
I'll try them too. I'll try whichever direction somebody sends me to try to find out who would investigate this. But it's seemingly
it's not us.
It's not you.
Like I said, the process is that you can see that there's a police intake desk right there.
Yep.
Cases come into this office based on arrests that are made in Washoe County. That can be made from a myriad of arresting agencies. Cases are prosecuted in this office or investigated in this office after an arrest is made or a warrant has been requested by an arresting agency. This office also represents the county in lawsuits. This office also does family support, which is child support.
Don't even get me going on that one.
So
the federal money that comes back into that room right there is intriguing.
Our office is multifaceted. It does a lot of. It represents the county in lawsuits, but that's the process. That's how this office handles cases. So if our office had a Department of Public Safety complaint desk, we would be taking this right now, but we don't.
Right. You don't have a system to deal with it, so.
Well, it's not that we don't have a system. That's not the process that this office is.
You don't have a process or a way to deal with it, what this complaint is. It's not in your bailiwick.
Because the district attorney's office is not by law for that.
Right. So
okay. It's not that it's incompetent. It's not that it's not set up.
No,
it just doesn't do it.
Yeah, just not good. Yeah.
I wish I had the place for you to go.
Yeah. All that I'm saying, there's a law, not a federal law, state law, NRS 197-200. Don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's out there.
And you need to have an agency investigate and submit it to our office.
Okay, sir. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you much.
All right.
You guys have a good one.
You do.